We are recording today, starting with page 1971, Blue Bus Tours, Lord Meher online. Who shall read? Me?
Do you want to start reading, Betty?
Sure. Okay.
Thanks.
2 unexpected visitors arrived at 7:30 p.m. on the 3rd. They were Mahendra Lal Chowdhury of Mandali and Pathak Pleader. Pathak had taken Baba to see a site in Mandala for setting up an ashram, but at that time, Baba had not made any definite commitment. Chowdhury prayed to Baba to accept a small gift from him, as the murder charges against him had been dropped. Baba asked what it was, and Chowdhury replied that it was his land behind the circuit house, 37 acres with 300 mango trees on it. Baba resisted, replying, "I want only love, not dakshina, monetary offering. The dakshina of pure love is the highest type of donation one can make." But Chowdhury and Pathak sincerely entreated Baba to accept the gift. After a discussion lasting over 2 hours, Baba finally accepted the property. Chowdhury said, "I am blessed today as you have accepted my dakshina." He later told Chanji, "It is our great good fortune to make an offer to Baba and for him to accept it for a cause such as his." Keki Bhajan, a Parsi devotee of Upasni Maharaj, came with his family from Katni for a few days to see Baba, arriving on the afternoon of the 3rd. The next morning, they came for Baba's darshan. After a few moments of silence, Baba stated, "I am like a child and also like a grown man, very small and very great at one and the same time. Eventually, a person must have that experience of being both small and great, a child and an adult simultaneously, whereby he consciously experiences being in all. For that to happen, this I must go. This I is false, but for it to disappear is very difficult. If that false, finite I goes, then the infinite I, Godhood, comes. Keki must go for Baba to come. This is not born of reading or talks, but is my actual experience. Pundits are many, but the experience must be there. Keki said, "Your grace is required, Baba. Yes, it is not possible without grace, but it will come. Stick to Maharaj till the end. Hold tightly to his feet. Only the master knows. They may make one sink or swim." Keki narrated Upasni Maharaj's recent activities and tour, saying, "For 14 days, Maharaj was in Benares, for 2 days in Katni, and for 1 day in Satna. He left from here, Jabalpur, only yesterday. After staying in Nagpur for 2 days, he will return to Sakori." Does anybody, I kind of wanted to go back and look at the murder. What was does anybody remember what that was?
No, I can,
Can we do we do that here?
sure, of course.
Oh, yeah.
He was stabbed into a murder case.
Yeah.
So Baba got him acquitted.
Okay. All right. Good enough. Okay.
Who was accused of murder? The man who gave the property.
Gave him the land.
Chaudhary, yeah.
Yeah.
So he gave So he
Yeah.
gave 37 acres in Dakshina.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you, BJ. All right, so we can go on. That's what I'm satisfied.
wonder what Baba did with that.
No, the later it trapped into court case. We can discuss later.
Okay,
Yeah, he gave it to
all
gave
right.
Baba.
Okay, I also intend to go to Benares, Baba said. Keki invited him to come to his home in Katni, which is on the way from Jabalpur to Benares, and Baba accepted the invitation to go there after 2 weeks. Baba explained to him, this hide and seek of the masters, Maharaj, and Baba going to similar places but not seeing each other is significant and will soon end. He added, Upasni Maharaj is going to drop his body soon. After Keki and his family had left, Baba again repeated this prediction to the men Mandali, saying, in 6 months, Maharaj will drop his body. Deshmukh went to see Upasni Maharaj in Nagpur and presented him with a copy of his new Marathi book on Baba's life. Maharaj placed a garland on Meher Baba's photograph on the book's cover and handed it back to Deshmukh as his prasad. When Baba heard of this incident on the 7th in a letter from Deshmukh, Baba remarked, the old man is again falling head over heels in love with me. On Thursday, 5th January, 1939, Keki Bhajan again came with his family to see Baba. Explaining to them about surrender and grace, Baba stated, to surrender is not as difficult as people think. It must not be external, but internal. You must do your duty toward your dear ones, your wife, children, and others who depend on you. You must not shirk or avoid your responsibilities. But while doing these duties, one must not be attracted to Maya. One must remain detached, whatever the result may be. Even if one of your dear ones dies, you should not think about it, much less worry about it, but dedicate all to the Guru. You should dedicate every thought and every act, both good and bad, at his feet. It is very easy, but because it is so easy, it is difficult. Once dedicated, you should forget everything. And if you cannot forget them, your thoughts and actions, how can you say that you have surrendered them? The rain falls on both rocks and the soil, but the water flows away down the rock, while the earth soaks it up. The rock does not derive any benefit from the rain, while the soil does. Although the rain falls equally on both, only the soil takes advantage of it. Similarly, my mercy and grace are equally on all, but only those on the plain deserve it, while those who go about as if they are on top of a high mountain do not benefit by it. Meanwhile, Baba had assigned different duties to Jal Karawala, among them being to find a good boy and bring him to Baba. Jal would daily bring one boy after another, all of whom Baba would feed and give new clothes to, and then return to Jal. This saddened Jal, who thought of himself as a failure in meeting Baba's requirements. He had no idea that Baba's work was something quite different, which he was doing while feeding and clothing the boys. Once, when questioned about the work done with the various types of boys who had come to him, Baba remarked, through them, I am working with the youth of the future. On the 5th, Baba repeated to Jal what he had earlier told Keki. Always remain detached toward results. The result of something may be good or bad, but you should be detached from both. Like Ramakrishna, dedicate everything to your master. Let not the dirt of the sanskaras of your thoughts and deeds touch you. By surrendering every thought and act at the feet of your guru, as a Dhobi laundryman washes and cleanses clothes, in the same way, I remove all the dirt which has stuck to you through your thoughts and actions. Just continue doing as I say. If you put in your best efforts, there is no cause to worry. My work only I know. At this moment, I am speaking with you, but while doing so, you do not see the work I am simultaneously doing for the whole universe. Maybe at this time I pass it on. Somebody want to take the reading?
I can read from now.
Okay.
A finely dressed man came to see Baba and prayed to him for guidance on the path. Baba asked him, "For what do you want this guidance?" The man confessed, "I have incurred numerous debts to maintain my family in comfort. Now the debts are weighing on me like a great mountain. They pierce me like arrows, and I suffer terribly. No one in the world is as miserable as I am." Baba urged him to have courage and advised, "Try to wipe out your debts. I will help you internally." The man was comforted, and Baba explained, "Sacrifice is sweet when it is for a good cause. Suffering should be for something worthwhile and not for selfishness or weakness. Even cowards suffer, as do heroes, but there is a great difference between the suffering of the two. The wounds of the arrows which the brave bear and the worldly arrows that pierce you are as different as the earth and the sky. Cowards go on being miserable by the arrows of Maya, while heroes endure their lot for love of God." One day, a Christian youth approached Jal and told him, "I dreamt of Meher Baba in an Arab robe, and he told me to see you." Jal took him to Baba on the 6th and repeated the strange tale. Baba listened and then told the boy, "Life is not to be wasted like this. You are depressed because you don't find employment. It is good that you have come to me. Don't worry. I will help you, and you will feel my help." The boy understood that Baba had read his mind and knew everything. That day, Baba agreed to visit the Leonard Theological College, one of the first such institutes in India. Baba was given a tour and then taken to a chapel where a service happened to be in progress. Baba sat down in the chapel and remained present for about half an hour. It was most unusual for Baba to wait through such a service, whose audience was praying to him in the form of Jesus. Before leaving, Baba was introduced to the congregation by one of the professors. And here we see a beautiful picture of Baba, Jabalpur, 6 January 1939. For his work, Baba had wished to keep his stay in Jabalpur a secret, but gradually news of his arrival leaked out and people sought his darshan. Baba agreed to give public darshan in 2 days, 8 January for men and 10 January for women. The reason for 2 separate darshans was that there were many Muslims in Jabalpur, and the Muslim women were not allowed to mix freely with the men. and were required to wear purdas or veils in public. On Sunday, 8 January 1939, people of all beliefs poured into Baba's bungalow for a day-long darshan. A sadhu who headed an ashram some distance from Jabalpur came and seeing Baba exclaimed, "I saw you in Hardwar in December." Chandji interjected, "Mayor Baba was in Meherabad during December." Baba countered, "Baba is now here with you and at the same time in many other places." The sadhu expressed his desire for God realization, and Baba praised his intention. "Can I find God?" the sadhu asked. "Why not?" "All have to," Baba answered. "How?" "By losing yourself." "By sannyas, renouncing the world?" "No, not by renouncing the world, but by renouncing your worldly desires. God is always there within you, and you have to find him there, not outside. And maybe I should, I'll stop here until the dogs stop barking. Does anyone want to take over?
Yeah, I can read. I can read.
Wonderful, thank you.
You. Okay.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Distance from Jabalpur came and seeing Baba exclaimed, "I saw you in Hardwar in December." Chandji, 1975 Blue Bus Tours. On Sunday, 8th January 1939, people of all beliefs poured into Baba's bungalow for a day-long darshan. A sadhu who headed an ashram some distance from Jabalpur came and seeing Baba exclaimed, "I saw you in Hardwar in December." Chandji interjected, "Meher Baba was in Meherabad during December." Baba countered, "Baba is now here with you and at the same time in many other places." The sadhu expressed his desire for God realization and Baba praised his intention. "Can I find God?" the sadhu asked. "Why not? All have to," Baba answered. "How? By losing yourself. By sannyas, renouncing the world." "No, not by the renouncing the world, but by renouncing your worldly desires. God is always there within you, and you have to find him there, not outside." "How can I find God?" he asked. "Regularly meditate and concentrate on your highest ideal. I will help you," Baba promised. The darshan lasted until late in the evening, with some being given a special private interviews. The next day, a Qawwali program took place before Baba, which is highly enjoyed. The Qawwali had an exceptional voice, and Baba presented him and his accompanying musician his lockets. A reporter from the Associated Press came to interview Baba the same day. The reporter was very respectful and kept referring to Baba as "Your Holiness." Their meaning ensues as follows. The reporter asked, "How long will the present chaotic state of affairs continue in the world?" Baba replied, "As long as selfishness exists, because it is the root cause in all this chaos and confusion, my work is done. It is a cleaning process." Wow. "How long will you be in Jabalpur specifically? And from here, where you will go?" "I will be leaving from Jabalpur on January 15 and will tour Benares, Agra, Ajmer, Kashmir, and other places in April. I intend to return to Jabalpur and open a spiritual center either here or in Mandla." There is a similar tomb-like construction in Mandla also. Meherabad like. What is your holiness opinion about Mahatma Gandhi? He is a great and noble soul and is trying to serve humanity with all his heart. When do you think India will be given its independence? When the Hindus and Muslims cease quarreling, will the Jews, the most oppressed nation in the world today, be able to withstand the onslaught that is being perpetrated on them by Hitler and Mussolini? Jews are non-Jews, whosoever sticks to the truth or is on the side of truth can withstand any onslaught. Globusters. Will your holiness kindly give me a message that I may broadcast to the world? Baba then repeated some of his remarks given a few months before to the Westerners. When suffering leads to real, eternal happiness, we should not attach importance to this suffering. It is to eliminate suffering that suffering has to be. People suffer because they are not satisfied. They want more and more. Ignorance gives rise to greed and vanity. If you want nothing, would you then suffer? But you do want, if you didn't want anything, you would not suffer even in the jaws of a lion. The widespread dissatisfaction in modern life is due to the gulf between theory and practice, between the ideal and its realization on earth. The spiritual and material aspects of life are widely separated instead of being closely united. There is no fundamental opposition between spirit and matter, or if you like, between life and form. The apparent opposition is due to wrong thinking, to ignorance. The best and also the easiest way of overcoming the ego and attaining divine consciousness is to develop love and render selfless service to all humanity in whatever circumstances we may be placed. All ethics and religious practices lead to this. The more we live for others, the less we live for ourselves, and the more lower desires uh, lost it. More lower desires are eliminated. This is in turn reacts. Okay, just saw the message. The root of all our difficulties, individual and social, is self-interest. Eliminate self-interest and you will solve all your problems, individual and social. The world will soon The world will soon realize that neither cults, creeds, dogmas, religious ceremonies, lectures, and sermons on the one hand, nor on the other hand, ardent seeking for material or physical pleasures, can ever bring about real happiness. Only selfless love and universal brotherhood can bring happiness. On 10th January 1939, Baba gave darshan continually from 7:30 in the morning until late in that evening without taking food. Person after person passed before Baba. Finally, Chanji sent him a message. What's the hurry? Can't you spare even a little time to eat? Baba replied, only in this hurried atmosphere is my work done, especially the work of cleaning and sweeping of impressions. Darshan was given to women exclusively from 3 to 6 p.m. Since no man was allowed to be present, Mani read the alphabet board in Chanji's place. Blue bus tour. At one point, the mayor of Jabalpur, Mr. De Silva, arrived. The man stated that he was an atheist and launched into his opinion about the root cause of the current troubles between the Hindus and Mohammedans, blaming the British for fomenting enmity between the two groups. There is no true sense of service to the nation as claimed by our political leaders. He stated, It's all a guise for lust of power in the name of service. Baba agreed and added, it is all due to self-interest and selfishness rather than selflessness. The mayor continued, my only creed is service to humanity irrespective of caste or creed. Baba commended him, that is serving God. I do not care, I give it no name or label. All the better. Serving humanity is the true ideal, while claiming nothing for the self. I am pleased. The mayor was informed of Baba's wishes to establish a center and he urged Baba to consider Jabalpur. The deputy superintendent of police, Ali Akbar, also came for darshan and anxiously informed Baba, my son is gravely ill in the hospital. Please have your nazar on him. Baba comforted and assured him, don't worry, he will be all right. I have my eye on him. Finally, acceding to Chandji's request, Baba was about to interrupt darshan and go for his meal when Chaudhary and Pathak of Mandala arrived. Chaudhary invited Baba to Mandala to view the land he had offered to Baba. And the next day, Baba went there. Baba liked the beautiful place very much and sat for half an hour under a tree. He remarked, I am infinitely old and eternally young. This is my old spot. And looking at Chaudhary and Pathak added, and here are my old friends. Baba did not explain their past connection. Oh, that's interesting. This is my old spot. Uh, Baba returned to Jabalpur the same day and assigned to Jal Kerawala the work of legally transferring the property to his name. Another prominent Kamath asked Baba, another prominent person who was granted an interview during Baba's stay in Jabalpur was H.V. Kamath. Introducing him, Jal Kerawala informed Baba that Kamath had held a high position in the Indian civil service but gave it all up to work for the country through the Congress party. Baba remarked, sacrifice is sweet when it is for a good cause. Kamath asked Baba, what is the goal of creation? Baba responded, to know the self as the infinite eternal existence and enable others to realize this same self. Why do forces of evil predominate over forces of virtue? It's all in the scope of universal law. The suffering that appears so grave is necessarily for happiness. As binding is necessary to experience freedom. Unless evil temporarily triumphs, suffering cannot be experienced. This universe is based on duality, binding and freedom, good and bad, evil and virtue are interdependent. If only one aspect existed, there would be no interest or meaning in life. For the attainment of ultimate freedom and happiness, temporary victory of evil over virtue is necessary. Why does God, who is so kind and merciful, give suffering and pain to so many? God has nothing to do with this. God is all one in one. He is aloof and yet so attached that whatever is done is by his law of love and will. God is neither merciful nor cruel in your awakened state. Will India come in the forefront as in days of old to lead the world? It is the duty of India to lead the world spiritually. Interesting. Baba urged Kamath, work with all your heart with the one motive of making India truly free. But do not think of the results of your work. Men like you can do what millions cannot do. As you have heart, intellect, and sincerity, this selfless service of yours in striving for India's freedom will lead you ultimately to God. In a letter to Beckett, On 11th January 1939, Baba spoke about youth and then described the property and its donor. I love all children and all youth with their unclouded vision, enthusiasm, and energy. I will have a center large enough to have a number of them with me that I may train them in my own way for future work. Since I left Mehrabad, I have received offers of land in many parts. In Hyderabad, 600 acres, and at Mandla, 60 miles from here, 100 acres. The latter is ideal. Lord Meher, page 1977, footnote. Chaudhary donated 37 acres in Mandla, and Baba subsequently purchased an additional 71 acres of adjacent land. So the property became 108 acres. Oh, interesting.
Okay, Vijay, thank you so much for reading. Let's see, Diana, would you care to read next?
Sure, I'll read.
Thank you.
A beautiful situation and right in the center of India, 70 miles from this important town. Two important rivers meet in Mandala, and our property is 8 furlongs or 1 mile from the river, and with such a large number of trees that some may have to be cut. I was there again yesterday to make final arrangements and to have the deed signed. The climate is wonderful and suited to both Easterners and Westerners. The donor owns large properties in this neighborhood, 117 villages. He is a very spiritual man and very interested in the center, which will embrace every activity of mine. It is also a very spiritual part of India and suited in every way to my needs. In a letter to Delia DeLeon the same day, Baba wrote, "Tell your mother not to worry over money or the fear of war. I will look after all who are mine wherever they are. Long for what is real. You will then have no time for worrying over what may never happen. Truth and love, which are one, you will find, and they will give you permanent happiness. Both are expressions of the one God who is in all, your beloved Baba." Life is not easy for the group. They see very little of me, but this is not a holiday trip. I have great work to do, and they have much to learn. Life is a school wherever you are. I teach all whom I have chosen. This too you are finding. I will see that you have the experience that you need. Half the battle is won when you can face up to yourself and see the false from the true. Truth is within, but is hidden by the false ego. I, the divine sculptor of all hearts, will mold the perfect one myself, whom I love in all. Muhammad Must had been brought to Jabalpur in the middle of December. Baba bathed and fed him daily at the Mandali's residence. He would also sit in seclusion with Muhammad for his work, and no one was allowed to be near. Erich was the Must's personal attendant, as Pleader has been sent to Bombay. Muhammad would want a certain vegetable, and Erich would bring it from the market. Once, when Muhammad wanted peas, Guy might cook some other vegetable because peas were not available. But when Baba took lunch to him to feed him, Muhammad cried out, "Where are my peas? Why didn't Guy Mai prepare them? Call her here." On Baba's orders, Erich brought Guy Mai, and Baba gestured to Muhammad. "She did not cook peas for you today, so I'm going to punish her." He raised his hand as if to strike her. But Muhammad shouted, No, don't beat her. Forgive her. Today I will eat something else." The problem was solved, and Muhammad became happy, thanks to Baba's ruse. Some musts were persuaded to come to Baba in Jabalpur, but when they could not be persuaded, Baba would leave Jabalpur to contact them. One day, Chuggin brought a boy who was a must from the town of Siani. After contacting him, Baba sent him back with Chuggin. Many in Siani believed the boy to be a saint. Upon his return, the young must declared, "I see Meher Baba in everything and in every being." Keki Bhajan was sent word to bring a must named Barosa Baba to Jabalpur. The must, an old man, naked except for a loincloth, was always seen carrying dirty rags and sticks. In Jabalpur, the must was given food, a bath, and new clothes, but afterward he became very angry and restless. He was sent back to Kutni after a day or so. As per his promise, one day Baba visited Keki Bhajan's house in Kutni, 70 kilometers to the northeast, with Jal Karawala, Gustaji, and a few of the men. The Bhajan's car was sent to Jabalpur to bring Baba's group. Baba had lunch with the couple and presented them with a framed photograph of himself. "Your connection with me is of many lifetimes," he informed them. Keki mentioned some financial difficulties, but Baba only smiled, reassuring him, "Everything will be all right in its own time. Don't worry about it. Don't think of that debt, but of this debt," pointing upward to indicate God. Gesturing toward a painting of Zoroaster on the wall above his chair, Baba urged the couple, "Think of me as you would think of him." During this period, Gulmai and Adi Sr. arrived on the 12th of January, and Gustaji also came to stay with Baba. Of the Mandali, Chanji, Kaka, and Chuggin were already there, staying in a rented bungalow. That same day, Baba sent the Jasawala family, except for Araj, back to Nagpur with Papa. Chuggin was sent ahead to Benares to arrange housing for Baba and the women. Chanji had also left for Benares on the 10th for advanced work. On Sunday, the 15th of January, 1939, Gulmai, Gustaji, Muhammad Must, Rustam's eldest son, Melu, who had come for a visit, and the servants were sent to Benares by train, escorted by Adi Sr. A good-natured servant named Jenu was to look after Muhammad. Jenu had been called from Meherabad by Baba for that specific purpose. Muhammad was to remain near Baba throughout the tour. Chanji joined them at Mughal Sarai. Baba left Jabalpur the same day in the blue bus at 4:45 p.m. with the women's group. Kaka and Araj rode in front with Elizabeth, and Araj occasionally drove. Reaching Kutni in the evening, they stayed at the Bhajan's home. They left for Benares at 6 the next morning and reached there at 5 o'clock. Chuggin had rented bungalows in the cantonment area near the Civil Hotel, where Adi Sr. and the rest of his group were already waiting. In the morning of the 18th of January, Baba took the women for a boat ride on the sacred Ganges River. He explained the significance of Benares and the Ganges and remarked, "Every avatar has come to this city and touched his feet in this river's waters." And the footnote says, Benares, now called Varanasi, is one of the oldest cities in the world, thriving since the time of Babylon. There are more than 1,500 temples in Benares. When Baba showed them the temple of Visheshwar, the Almighty, thank you, he replied with a smile, "You are seeing the temple of Visheshwar in Visheshwar's company." To the men, he commented, "Since ancient times, the holy city of Benares has been the abode of saints, rishis, and highly advanced souls. As such, it is imbued with a spiritual atmosphere congenial and helpful to any spiritual aspirant or seeker. As to the shrines and temples that abound there, it is not the walls of bricks and stones, but the atmosphere and environment here that breathe spirituality because of the presence of advanced souls. Baba further explained that while the masses make pilgrimage to such places to cleanse themselves of sins, the masters are drawn there only for their work and sanctify such places by their presence. And here we have a beautiful photo of rafting on the Ganges River in Benares. There's Baba. At 3 p.m. on the 18th, Baba went in a tanga through the ancient city streets with Chanji and Adi Sr., ostensibly to find an ideal boy, but in fact, to contact musts and sadhus. Along the way, Baba would often have the tanga stopped and get down to contact the specific person whom he spotted, sometimes giving them money and sometimes only looking at them. His contact was only momentary, age observed, but it spanned ages. For several years, Baba had not touched money, but when it came to giving it to musts, sadhus, and the poor, he would give it with his own hands. After stopping at the post office to inquire whether any letters or telegrams had been received, Baba ordered the tanga driver, himself half must, Chanji thought, to drive through the most crowded area of the city. Baba pointed out a particular man in the street who looked to Adi and Chanji like a beggar. The man was standing, gazing upwards, seemingly unaware of his surroundings. In this instance, Baba ordered Adi to give the man a coin. Chanji described the contact. No explanation was offered at the moment, nor did we question Baba then, as he seemed mentally preoccupied and busy elsewhere. After a while, after driving through many thoroughfares, Baba abruptly called for a turn to return home. Simultaneously, Baba's expression changed with a hum typical to him. As the tanga traced its way homewards, Baba seemed to come down from his preoccupied mental state and began looking around with apparent interest. We took this opportunity to ask for an explanation about some of his significant gestures, and he readily replied that the man was spiritually dazed and stuck on a certain place, like those inmates of our ashram of the God Mat at Mehrabad, and that the man needed a push onwards, which he gave from the second plane to the third plane. The 2 anna coin was a medium for this contact, and significant for the planes Baba helped the man to cross. Baba took the women to Sarnath on Thursday, the 19th of January, 1939, where he spoke to them about Gautama the Buddha. Sarnath is where the Buddha first preached after he became enlightened. And now we have a footnote. Sarnath is a sacred city to Buddhists all over the world. The central place of pilgrimage is a large temple which houses the Buddha's hair. Baba reminisced about his incarnation as Buddha and then remarked, "Buddha is now silent." Dal had been cooked that day in an earthen pot, but it began leaking out, so it was emptied into and served from a pail. Baba kidded them, "Take care of your pots," meaning their hearts. "If they get holes in them, all your love will leak out." The group returned to Benares in the evening and remained there for 3 days more. Baba was engaged in contacting musts and also in searching for boys fitting his ideal. On the 21st, Baba went out in a tanga with Norina and 2 of the men. After getting down and walking some distance, they spotted a man squatting on the street, dressed only in a loincloth. Baba stood far away and signaled to give him 2 paisa. The Mandali did so, and when the man looked up, he looked radiant but dazed. Baba later explained that the person was on the first plane, and at that moment, Baba pushed him to the second. Something similar happened next. Baba began walking fast and then stopped suddenly and pointed to a revered person sitting on a boat surrounded by his disciples. The Mandali approached him and said, "We have come from Meher Baba." The man repeated 3 times, "Meher, Meher, Meher." Baba commented, "He was on the 5th plane, and I have pushed him to the 6th. Maybe we could have another reader. I guess maybe not.
Yeah. Maybe Rosalie could read.
Mona, what do you
Thank you.
I can
Maybe
read. I
you
can read
read.
again if you want. If nobody wants.
Rosalie, can you read? Rosalie, can you read?
Okay, I'll read.
You know what?
I'll read if you want. I'll keep reading. Mona, can you mute, please? Chuggin would look for boys. Chuggin would look for boys and bring them to Baba, but Baba would always send them back and criticize Chuggin at length. "For goodness sake, what sort of boys do you bring me? Are you blind? Can't you find even one to my liking?"
Okay, thank you, Diana. We can get a different reader now. Let me see. Eugene, do you want to take over?
Sure. Chuggin replied, exasperated. "To find such a boy, I would have to be God realized. This is not a job for an ordinary man." In India, the profession of being a sadhu, that's quote unquote profession of being a sadhu or sannyasi, is as common as the profession of a priest or preacher in the West. One day, while observing a mass gathering of sadhus and sannyasis, Baba remarked to the women, "Of these 7,000, only 7 are real." A picture of Baba shaving in Benares. I think he's using in 1939, I think he's using a safety razor. Leaving Benares early on the morning of 23 January 1939, Baba's entourage proceeded to Kanpur, arriving at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, where they stayed in the Kashmir Hotel, which was managed by Hindus. After contacting some poor destitutes living in the streets of Kanpur and a few boys, Baba traveled to Agra, arriving on the 24th at 3 in the afternoon. Chandji had left for Agra several days before to arrange accommodations there and found a suitable private home for their stay. And the note says, the address was Andley Cottage number 1, Idgah Colony, Agra. The house was brand new and had never been occupied. When the owner found out that Meher Baba and his party were the intended occupants, he offered the house gratis for a fortnight and expressed his gratitude and good fortune to host such an august personality. There were electric lights, but unfortunately, there was a problem with the water supply, as the well water was unfit for drinking. Kitty contacted a Western neighbor, Mrs. Brown, who allowed them to collect water from her tap. On the 26th, Baba took the women to see the Taj Mahal, Juma Masjid, the fort, Shish Mahal, and Moti Masjid, parentheses, with Mrs. Brown in tow as their guide. Every time they went into a masjid, the group had to remove their shoes, and even Baba took off his sandals. About these famous tourist spots, he remarked, "All this is a big zero, a dream. Only I am real. So don't forget, while looking at all these wonderful places, to see me in this zero." But in the evening, Baba did comment, "I personally liked the fort better than the Taj. It is perfect in its variety, yet all in harmony." Yet all the sightseeing held little interest for the women, because Baba would tease, irritate, and invariably create tensions and quarrels among them, so that they found no pleasure in the excursions. And while Baba guided the women through the different beautiful spots of the city, he kept the men separately occupied. Chuggan in searching for boys, and Erich, Kaka, and Adi Sr. in searching for musts. Chanji would arrange housing and food in advance at each halting place, and Gustaji would keep watch at night. Hang on a second. Baba assembled the women on the evening of the 26th and had the newspaper read. About current events, Baba observed, "England and France are weak. They are not firm enough. America is strong now. The Prime Minister of England made a broadcast. He is a thorough gentleman and noble, and no match for these rogues." That's Hitler and Mussolini. "The German head is mad. No one but a madman could have done what he did to the Jews. But it all had and has to happen. It is nobody's fault. It is all just right. It is like a game of chess. They are the figures, and I play the game." On 27 January, Baba visited Fatehpur Sikri with the women in the morning. Baba and the women saw the tomb of Sheikh Salim Chisti, the Panch Mahal, Birbai's palace. Oh no, that's Birbal's palace. The residence of Rukia Begum, the palace and temple of Jodhbai, and other sites. In the afternoon, Baba went in a taxi with Mrs. Brown and Narina to a boys' school to look for a suitable lad. Adi Sr. and Chanji left for Delhi to find a bungalow there for Baba and the women. And a few days later, Erich was sent to Ajmer for the same purpose. The next day, Baba took the women to Mathura, where Krishna was born, to Gokul, where he spent his childhood, and to Vrindavan, where he lived with the gopis. Near a temple in Vrindavan, a young must who was playing the flute saw Baba and exclaimed, "Here comes my Murli Vale. I have been waiting for you." The footnote says, Murli Vale is another name for Krishna and means the flute player. The must was ecstatic when he saw Baba. Baba patted his cheeks and had a few coins given to him. Later, Baba told the women, "He is more advanced than our Muhammad must." While visiting places associated with Krishna, Baba observed, "When I see these places, I remember my old habitats. They are like my old, well-remembered haunts. Here was where I used to play with the gopis and steal milk and curds. Here I played my flute, and here my Radha would come running to meet me. Now I have brought my new gopis with me, and now Mera is my Radha." Late in the afternoon, Baba stated, "We will now go see where Krishna ate his last meal." The group was puzzled, thinking they had already seen everything connected with Lord Krishna. It turned out to be the dock bungalow where they had eaten lunch that day with Baba. They returned there for tea. Baba would take the women to these surrounding places each day and then return to Agra, where he would start his must contacts. But before setting out on his must hunts, Baba was particular to first bathe and feed Muhammad by hand. This was his primary duty at the time, and he spent about 2 hours each day with Muhammad. On the 28th, a strange incident occurred in their bungalow. Just looking at that smiling picture of smiling Baba, 27 January 1939 in Agra. A strange incident occurred in their bungalow. 2 days before, Baba had brought a hoopoe that had been badly injured by a youngster's slingshot. They brought it in, dressed the wound, and bandaged it. Baba held it on his lap, caressed it, and fed it. Despite all their nursing, the bird did not survive long. And just before the end, on the 30th, it struggled out of its box toward where Baba was seated and fell dead at his feet. Baba picked up the creature and remarked, "You can have no idea how fortunate this bird is. It will reincarnate as a human being in its next birth, but not as an ordinary being, but rather as one who has some inkling of the path and possibly even some spiritual attainment." Baba often remarked that whatever animal he held or touched was pushed through its evolution and entered human form in its next incarnation. On Wednesday, 1 February 1939, Baba left Agra around noon for Delhi. Upon arriving there at 4:30, they checked into the Regal Hotel. During their week-long stay, Baba took the women to see the Jama Masjid, the old fort, the shrine of Emperor Humayun, Lakshmi Narayan Temple, and Hazrat Nizamuddin's shrine. When Baba took the women to see the Qutub Minar, a stone tower 238 feet high, that was the highest structure in India at the time, he climbed up only part of the way and then came down. Mansari thought Baba had continued up, and she climbed to the top. The group was about to leave when Baba noticed Mansari missing. He looked up and saw her waving from the top. Baba motioned her to come down immediately. When she came, he asked, "Are you mad? Why didn't you follow us down?" Mansari explained that she thought he had gone up to the top and she wanted to be with him. Baba scolded her. "You want to be with me and say you love me. It is so difficult to be with me, so difficult to love me. The Qutub Minar has separated you from me." On 4 February, Baba held a conference with the women in the afternoon, discussing household affairs and other more pressing matters dealing with his must work, stating, "Now, today's conference is important. Listen carefully, listen seriously, and obey willingly. I have a very practical and peculiar work to do in this town. Here, I do not find circumstances suitable for that work. Ajmer will definitely suit, but the following points will help me in that work." He then outlined certain household arrangements and added, "For 10 days in Ajmer, I am going to be Lord, servant, devotee, master, everything in one. Most peculiar, but very particular work. The worshiper, the worshipped, and everything else. It is very important, especially 7 days before the birthday, from the 11th to the 18th. The last 2 birthdays, I bowed to the poor. This birthday will be quite different. I will bow and be bowed to by different beings. Therefore, I must be free from butter, bread, and shoes." And there's a footnote there. Butter, bread, and shoes referred to household details. In other words, Baba did not wish to deal with such mundane matters during this period of intense contact with musts.
Thank you, Eugene. Rosalie, would you like to read next? Or Mona, how about you?
Is my audio clear?
Yes.
All right.
Here's the feedback.
Yeah.
I think there
So
is
do I
a
start from
echo.
top of the page?
There is a echo because the double phone are there.
Now it's fine, Vijay. I shut the
Okay.
other
Yes.
device.
Thank you.
I read from top of the page. Yeah. Blue bus tours. That night, Baba took the women to see the lights of old and new Delhi. Arriving from Karachi, Pila Mai joined the group on the morning of Sunday, 5 February. The same day, Kaka and Adi Sir brought a mast whose hair Baba cut. He then bathed and dressed him in a new kafni, and after feeding him, sent him back. Chagan brought a couple of boys whom Baba also sent away after giving them clothes and money. There's a photograph of Baba with Mansari, Irene, Mehera, Delhi at the Delhi fort that was taken on 3rd February 1939. It looked, yeah. As mentioned, while traveling with Baba during the Blue Bus tours, the main duty of the men Mandali consisted in searching for mus and boys. As soon as they arrived at a place, Erich, Kaka, and Chagan were ordered to leave and devote themselves to the work. Near the Dargah of Nizamuddin on the 6th, Baba contacted a high mast named Kamal Posh. Baba explained to the women, Kamal Posh is on the 5th plane and my real lover. The splendor that surrounds his dirtiness, only I can see. The world thinks him mad, but the world is mad and he is sane. Nothing makes me so happy as the sight of these real heroes. At one point, Baba contacted Hafiz Nabina, who Baba said was the charge man of Delhi, greatly revered. Hafiz Nabina was a blind and utterly naked Muslim saint who, despite his lack of sight, could find his way all over the old city whenever he walked around. Amazing tales and miracles were attributed to him. Baba and his group left for Ajmer on 7th February 1939. Around 8:30 in the morning, they reached the village of Alwar by the late afternoon and stayed in a dark bungalow there. At Alwar, there was a newly born goat running loose, and the women, especially Elizabeth, played with it, and Baba held it lovingly. There's a beautiful picture which many of you all might have seen with Baba holding the, what we just described. Scroll down. You can just see his smile beaming through it. Baba with Alwar in 1939. It's really nice. Leaving at 6 o'clock the next morning, they arrived in Jaipur 3.5 hours later. Normally, Indian trains are late. Near the Amber Palace in Jaipur, Baba suddenly had the bus stopped. He took the women to have a look at the palace from a parapet across the road. Sorry. Baba's mood underwent a strange transformation as he gazed in the opposite direction. Shortly, a naked mast emerged from that direction. Baba and the mast looked at each other for a while, beckoning the women. Baba pointed out the man, declaring that he was the spiritual Chajiman of Jaipur. Could you go back, please? Just a minute. Yeah, Baba pointed out the man declaring that he was the spiritual charge man of Jaipur. Yeah, footnote. Thank you. In 1941, when Baba was staying in Jaipur, he contacted this mast who was known as Nanga Baba. Nanga Baba means naked Baba. Yeah. During the journey, Baba nibbled on nuts, raisins, apples, oranges, or cucumbers, and occasionally passed some to the group. Once, while joking with the women, he remarked, Norina was a high priestess in a past incarnation. Rano and Kitty were rival priestesses. Irene was the stable boy. She loved horses. Mm. Gulmai was Masi's husband. Um, in our custom, Masi means the mother's sister. Elizabeth was Norina's wife who nagged her all day. Next page. Thank you. The group arrived. I can't see the whole page. Okay, now I can. Thanks. The group arrived. No. That's better. Just go back. Elizabeth, that was better. Yeah. Sorry, Eva. The group arrived in Ajmer on 8th February at 2 in the afternoon. Eric had rented a bungalow belonging to a local banker, where Baba and the women stayed comfortably. Quarters for the Mandali were arranged a quarter of a mile away. A few days after they arrived, Baba began his mast work in earnest. Kaka and Eric became solely occupied in search for mas. Rano was instructed to keep hot water ready for the mas baths. As soon as one would be brought, she would rush to fill the buckets in the bathroom. Baba would then wash the mast and afterward clothe him with new clothes or a kafni. Footnote, please. So Adi Sir had 6 kafnis stitched in Ajmer by a local tailor. Thank you. Sorry, that was Adi Senior. Yeah. Baba would take blankets and towels from the women and pass them on to his dear mas. And in the process, he was thus gradually lessening their baggage. On the 12th, a friendly Tongawala brought a mast named Brahmananda Singh to the bungalow. The mast had been living in filth for years, drinking filthy gutter water. Baba kept him in his room, bathed and fed him regularly. Adi recalled that he was the same mast they had seen 17 years before. When they come to Ajmer from Manzil-e-Meen in 1922, Kaka and Eric attended to the mast all day long, and Kaka slept near him. Baba said he wanted to take him back to Mehrabad and indicated he was on the 6th plane. Next page. Sorry, scroll down. On 13th February 1939, Baba explained that there were 6 spiritually advanced souls in Ajmer. 2 on the 6th plane, 2 on the 5th, and 2 between the 3rd and 4th, or 5th and 6th. When one dies, another takes their place. So, as to maintain the same number, 6, Baba stated. He also spoke about God realized Mazoobs and how rare they were in the world, and stated that such a one was nearby. For an explanation about the state of Mazubs, refer to God Speaks, page number 137 to 140 and 196 to 197. So I think let's take a note of that, Eva, after we finish, and when we chat and discuss, if we want, we could read that, if everybody likes. That day, Baba sent Kaka and Adi Senior to bring the seventh plane, Mast, one of the greatest in the world, to the bungalow. However, the Musts refused to come with them from where they first found him, seated in an unbelievably filthy small two-room hovel near the tomb of Khwaja Muinuddin Chisti. The Mast was called Chacha. Chacha was strong in appearance, though short for his Pathan descent. Because normally Pathans are, very well built, and they have like a really strong personality. And he had been so named because of the predilection for drinking 100 cups of tea or chai through the day. On different occasions, the devotees of the Mazub would go on serving Adi and Kaka tea, while Chacha would be uttering cha, cha. Normally they say chai, so he would say cha, cha. And Chacha also means uncle, like father's brother in our custom. Then, in a commanding tone, he would say, "Leave." And they got up, "Stay." On their initial contact, when the tea was served, Kaka went on drinking the brew until his stomach was bloated. Adi stopped reasoning. "Baba has told me to drink all this tea only to bring the mast." When they told Baba what happened, he sent them back the next day. Again, the same scene was enacted. It went on like this for some days until Baba finally indicated, "All right, stop going." But Baba was not content, and after a few days asked Adi again, "Can't you bring Chacha somehow?" "Baba, it's futile," Adi replied. "He won't budge." Nevertheless, Baba sent Adi and Kaka back. When they went on 17th February, Adi slowly approached Chacha and gently took hold of his arm 3 times, asking, "Won't you come with us today?" To Adi's amazement, on the third attempt, the mast rose to his feet and left with them with no argument. They got into their tonga, Adi in the back, Chacha and Kaka in the front. Observing this, Chacha's Muslim caretaker and followers became suspicious and asked where they were taking him. "To our elder brother," Adi replied. Of course, Baba knew they were on their way, and Rano had kept hot water ready for Chacha's bath. When they arrived, however, the Mazub refused to get out of the tonga. Baba came outside and took Chacha's hand, and eventually he came down. Chacha had not moved from his spot in many, many years, and consequently he could not walk properly. Kaka and Adi held him under his arms and helped him stumble along. Inside, Adi was instructed to assist Baba, who revealed that Chacha had not bathed in nearly 30 years. Buckets and buckets of warm water were brought, and cup after cup was poured over Chacha to soak his ragged clothes before Baba would strip him and bathe him with soap and water. Baba warned Adi to be very, very gentle when touching Chacha's body. It was extremely difficult for Baba to undress Chacha, as his shirt had literally stuck to the skin of his chest from all the thousands of spilt cups of sugary tea over the years. After soaking him for an hour or two and thus softening the material, Baba had carefully cut his clothes away with the scissors, piece by piece, before he could bathe him.
Okay, it's noon now, so good
Yeah,
place.
we'll just make a note of this page, 1939. Just make a
70.
note of the starting in the last page, Eva. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And would you all like to listen to those reference pages, or we'll just chat after this thing?
Actually, I have to go let the dogs
You have to
out.
go. All right.
I
All
have
right.
to go. Hey,
Thank you
Baba.
so much, everybody. See you next week.
Bye. Thank you, Jai Baba.
And bless you.
Hey, Baba. Oh, I'm the host. So.
Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Thanks, Perry.